Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today, I want to discuss a very touchy subject for us Knicks fans, especially more for us than I think anybody else, any other fans of any NBA basketball. That is, I want to discuss the Knicks and Carmelo Anthony. Now, where do I begin? Carmelo, obviously, for the New York fan, is special for us. Why is he special for us? Well, let me just speak for me. Number one, I don't ever recall a player, and many of you Knicks fans, you tell me, I don't recall one NBA player, particularly an NBA star, that could go anywhere they wanted to go. And not only wanted to come to New York, but was willing to and did force his way off his current team to get to the Knicks at a time when the Knicks were not good. That's Carmelo Anthony. I don't recall any player ever doing that. And we know, for example, let's compare that to Kevin Durant for a second, who said, I don't want to be the savior of New York. I don't want to deal with the New York fans. I don't want to deal with the New York media. They were bothering me all season. Compare that. And Carmelo Anthony said, I want New York. I want the Knicks. I'm not talking about, for example, an RJ Barrett that while he was at Duke at 18 said, I want to come to the Knicks. Or even a Kristaps Porzingis who Carmelo was his favorite player and said, I want to come to New York. These kids, that's commendable. They wanted to come, but they're young. They didn't really know what they're getting into. Here's Carmelo Anthony in his prime, looking at a Knicks team that had just won 30-something games and said, I want to come to New York. That, to me, will endear him to us forever. I mean, what can you say? Okay? I mean, has Carmelo made some mistakes? Let me ask you all, have you made any mistakes in your life? You know what I'm saying? So, he that is without sin, let him cast a stone. Melo made some mistakes, but anybody does. Overall, I got nothing but good things to say about Melo because he wanted this. And he came and he embraced it. Was it his fault that the Knicks decided to not wait until he became a free agent and give away half the team? No, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't. Was it his fault that Phil Jackson comes in and tries to force him, force his peg into a triangle when that's not his game? No, that's not his fault. Was it his fault that after they win 54 games, they break up the team? No, it wasn't his fault. Melo came and embraced New York. Was it his fault that they gave him a $100 million contract and a no-trade clause? Would you take that? No, it wasn't his fault. They could have traded him. So we can't blame Melo for any of these things. Can't. So Melo came to New York. And I think I see, and I think a lot of my Knicks Nation is going to agree, put his heart and soul into trying to win here. Put his heart and soul, laid it all on the line to try to win in New York. And unfortunately, as we know, it did not happen. It did not happen here. And it got to the point where it was better for us and for him that he move on to another place where he can try to get a ring. And so now a lot of our Knicks Nation, a lot of our fans are wondering, can we bring Melo back? Can we bring Melo back? For not only for sentimental reasons, but for performance reasons. Okay, not only sentimental, but performance. Now let's break this down real quick now. Just first of all, Carmelo's is like like most competitive athletes in the NBA that are at his level or have been at that level. You know, at one point, Melo was definitely top 5 in the league. He's not anymore, but he was top 5 in the league. At one point, he was in the MVP conversation in his career. He did lead the league in scoring. He is one of the most gifted scorers in league history. There's no question about that. Okay. He doesn't have the all-round game of some of the all-time greats like a Kobe or LeBron, you know, or Jordan. He was never like an all-defensive player, but that's fine. He was still an unstoppable scorer at the height of his career. Okay. He is not that anymore. All right. He's not that. At this point in his career, he's trying to win a championship. That's what he wants to do. He wants to win a championship. Okay. That's why he went to OKC. Then to Houston. Now finally at Portland. Trying to win that championship. And you know what? As New York Knicks fans who love Carmelo, I believe I can speak for all of us on this. And I don't like to do that. I don't like to speak for everybody, but I think I can speak for all Knicks Nation and say, we'd like to see Carmelo win that chip. We want him to win that championship, right? I mean, if it was with Portland, if somehow they got through the playoffs, they win the finals and they came through and they hoisted the trophy, all of us in New York would feel like a part of that because we love Carmelo. You understand? So let's talk about him coming to the Knicks. Number one, before we could talk about Melo coming to the Knicks, we have to understand something. 2 things, actually. Number one, he's not the player he was when he came and forced his way on our team at age 26. This is 10 years later. His athleticism, his skills have obviously diminished. Okay, we have to remember that. This is not the same Melo. And we'll talk about his recent performance with Portland in a second, but this is not the same guy. Number 2, for Carmelo Anthony to come to the New York Knicks, let's say he came this coming season, the 2020-2021 season, let's say he came to New York. What that is saying is that he's given up his dream of winning a championship. That's what it would be saying. Now, me, myself, I would understand if he decided I did not want to come back to New York. I want to stay in Portland. I would not take it as a slight because, as I said, we love Carmelo. He gave his heart and soul. He gave us the best years of his career to try to win a championship in New York. So, of course, if he is thinking it's best for him to win a chip in Portland, or if he wants to go join LeBron in LA or go somewhere else, wherever, that he can try to win that chip, you know what? More power to him. More power to him. We should all wish him the best. So if he came to New York, he understand. Carmelo's a smart man. He's a smart businessman. I always respected that. He's a smart businessman. And in fact, it used to bother me a little bit because he's more business than basketball. I mean, I don't blame him. Listen, number one, I want you to understand something. If you really understand where Melo comes from, being a black man, growing up in Red Hook and then in Baltimore, you never begrudge any athlete that wants to get paid. You don't ever, all these people out here that talk about, he wants the money more than the championships. These people, I don't know what world they living in. But when a man is struggling all his life, watch his mother try to raise the family. Listen, get all you can, bruh. More power to you. Get all you can. You understand? We never begrudge him that. And anybody that does, when I see people in the media do that, and I've seen people do that, some of these knucklehead media people that never played the game, never struggled in their life, don't understand what it's like. It makes me sick. Because they begrudging the man trying to get paid. So I never begrudge people trying to get paid. Get all you can, because you ain't getting it forever. Okay? That's the thing you got to understand. And Melo went to get paid. He could have waited to come to the Knicks at the end of that season, but it was going to affect how much he got paid. He could have went to Miami. LeBron and them had contacted him to go hook up in Miami. He could have did that with Wade and LeBron. They were looking at Melo before they were looking at Bosh. But Melo wasn't taking no pay cut. I don't begrudge him that at all. Get your money, brother. Get your money. Okay? So, but now, if he was to come to New York, he'd be giving up that championship dream. That's number one. Which means he would understand, because I'm talking for Melo and I'm not in the man's head, but I know he's a smart man. He would understand that he's here to help a rebuilding team develop. He would understand that. And in fact, I know, for example, a lot of people in the Knicks Nation are into CP3 coming here, and the management, the so-called quote from somebody that's close to the organization or whatever was like, they want to jumpstart. They wanted to use CP3 to jumpstart. That was the term that was used. Jumpstart the rebuild, which means they're committed to rebuilding and they're hoping a CP3 could push that forward a little bit. But let me tell you something. Melo can help jumpstart the rebuild, number one. Melo is not going to cost us young assets, number two. And Melo is not going to cost us anywhere near 85 million over 2 years, number three. Okay? So now let's talk about current Melo. We saw him in Portland. I was impressed. Melo has always been one, especially since he came to New York. I don't know what he was in Denver in terms of his physical upkeep of his body. I don't know. I have to assume he was trying to keep himself in shape. But I know when he came to New York, that man was serious about his off-season workouts, about keeping his body in shape. He was trying everything. You saw him in the gym trying to box. He was doing all kinds of things to keep himself in shape. And what I also liked about him is that as much as he can shoot that jump shot, as much as he can play that turnaround jumper. The last score we had just off the top, the last score we had like him was my man BK. If you from New York, you know BK. When BK came back to New York, that was a great time for me. I was very happy to see Bernard King come back to New York when they got him from Golden State. And if BK didn't hurt his knee, So here's Melo anyway. He's in that mode. And Melo understood the history with BK when he came here. That's what I liked about him. Lots of things I like about Melo. But at Portland, he came in even better shape. Like he lost weight. I mean, he came to Portland, he was trim. He was ready to go when he came there this year. And again, he's not the same Melo, but he's more savvy now. I remember it was about, maybe it was the year before they traded him, maybe 2 years before they traded him. They were asking him about how long he wanted to play. And he said he thought he could play till 40. And the guy said, well, 40? And he said, yeah, because he said, my game is not predicated on athleticism. And I thought, you know what? He's right. I mean, his game is predicated. It starts with that jumper he got, that sweet J he has, that you got to respect. And then he's got low post moves, so that turnaround jumper, that turnaround jumper that's sort of like Bernard King, he still got that. And it doesn't take athleticism. That's more head fakes and position and footwork, which Melo's a master at footwork on offensive end of the basketball. I mean, you want to talk about how to do footwork on offensive end? Watch Melo. They should put that in the dictionary next to offensive footwork, because that brother got it. Okay, and he can be 90 years old. He's gonna have that. So he's right in that regard. Of course, it's gonna hurt. It hurts him on the defensive end because his lack of athleticism, is a problem. It is a bit of a problem. But offensively, as a stretch four, we could do a lot worse than Melo. We could do a lot worse. And I'm thinking like this. Y'all. if we really want to groom Kevin Knox, and I'm one I did a video on that just yesterday. I want to groom Kevin Knox. I think Kevin Knox can be a star. I think he just needs to be groomed right. I think with this staff that we got here, it's tailor made to bring the best out of Kevin Knox. And Kevin Knox got talent now. I don't want to start him right away. I would like him to be behind a vet that he could really watch along with. So now he's got Kenny Payne. He's got Mike Woodson behind him, right? On the sideline, training him, pushing him. But then he gets to actually see in living color, in real life, what it's like to be a pro at the stretch four. And so you get a guy like Melo. You bring him in. And you get Kevin working with him. And Melo, listen, I don't care what the media said. They make me sick with how they treated my man Melo. But Melo's an excellent mentor, man. When KP came to the Knicks, Melo took him right under his wing. He really did. He brought him to his gym. He was working with him. Matter of fact, quiet as kept, it was how Phil Jackson treated Melo. Part of the reason that caused KP to skip his exit interview. KP was pissed at how they treated Melo. And rightly so. He's thinking, hey, if they treat him like that, how are they going to treat me when I get to that point? That was the start of that snowball that led to him being traded. Okay. How they treated his man. Because Melo, if you look back at some of KP's younger videos, he put his braids in his hair. He wore himself just like Melo because that was one of his favorite players. And Melo took him under his wing and trained him. Melo is an excellent mentor. He really is. And I think he would really help Kevin Knox. So you bring Melo in. See, this changes things though. See, if you're going to bring a Melo in, you don't need to worry about drafting a stretch four because you got one in Kevin Knox. And now you got Melo coming in. You just need to put your eggs in that investment basket and say, Kevin Knox is going to be my stretch four going forward in the future for the New York Knicks. And I'm going to put all I can in developing him. That would include bringing in a vet like a Melo. And I'm thinking like, it's Melo, right? So I'm thinking like I would give him 10 million, 8, 9, 10 million, like something along the lines of the mid-level exception. The mid-level exception is 9 million in the NBA right now. I would probably give him 10. Give him 2 years, 20 million. I mean, that's way above the minimum, right? Give him 2 years, 20 million. Come in here for 2 years. And then that first year, how would it work? In my mind, I'm thinking Melo starts at the stretch four. Kevin comes in behind him. Okay. And over the course of the season, as the season develops, you start to give Kevin more minutes and Melo less minutes so that at some point, at the end of the season, now this coming season is going to be different because it's going to start late. Who knows how long it's going to be? I'm thinking they're going to want it to be at least 60 games to make some money. So even if it starts March 1st or between January and March, it's probably going to be at least 60 games. I expect this next season to actually go all the way into next summer. It's going to be a weird year. So this is going to be a little strange. And this actually might work to our advantage in terms of our development. But I'm thinking at the end of the season, if it was a normal season, that last quarter, that from March on, you start Kevin and you start pushing Kevin, right, at that point. And then the next year, you just let Melo, do his farewell tour in New York, and you retire his number. You retire his number and you put it in the rafters. That's how you do it. Okay. But I'm thinking you put Melo at the stretch four. Listen, I don't care what. You gotta respect Melo's jump shot. You got to, because he will kill you still. And especially if we're not asking him to do everything, but Melo's like that. He's going to rebound. He's going to try to make the right play. He's going to do that. But we want him to shoot. You got to respect that. Right now, at age like 36, I'm going to be honest with you, Melo's a better forward than Julius Randle, who's 25. He's a better forward than Julius Randle. He's better IQ-wise. He's definitely better shooter. He's a better team player. Right now, as an old man, he's better. So I would take him. And people look at stats, and that drives me crazy, man. You can't look at stats and understand Julius Randle's game. You can't. You got to actually see the game. Stats don't tell you how many times he spins into double teams. Stats don't tell you how many times he forces a shot. Stats don't tell you that. Stats doesn't tell you how much he breaks up the flow of the game when the ball is humming and all of a sudden it stops when it gets to him. Stats don't tell you that. Okay? You got to see. People look, well, he's 20 and 10. Come on, man. See, that's why I don't even pay attention. Sometimes, and y'all will notice on the comments, sometimes I don't answer. Because sometimes, some things ain't even worth me putting energy into. I mean, you ain't see, all I can say is you ain't watched the games. But you put Melo at that stretch 4. You got RJ now opening, the floor opens up. Now we still got cap space. You got, and you know what? I have to apologize to Damian Dotson. I got to apologize to Damian Dotson because I'm talking about all these shooters bringing in and we got a guy. He just needs minutes. I know y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm thinking that you start Frank and Dot, you let them run with RJ. We got a crew. I know y'all don't believe that because y'all hate Frank and y'all looking at all these shiny. Look, man, we got a crew right now. We got a crew. We just need coaches and now we got them. If you play Dot 30 minutes a game, he's going to produce. And if he doesn't, then take him out. That's why you drafted Vassell. But if you wanted to go use that cap space and get a pro level shooter that's proven, you could go get one. I know y'all, there's pluses and minuses. People say, can we get a Duncan Robinson? I don't know. I'm saying you don't know, you don't know what you can do till somebody tells you no, right? I used to be in sales. You know, you don't know unless you ask. So maybe Miami wants to keep him. Fine. I put a call into his agent, $10 million a year, 3 years. You want that or not? No, you know, whatever. Miami wants him for 1.6. They got rights to him. Let them keep him. Okay. You go over to, Bogdanovich. Hey, listen here. We got you this 3 years, $42 million. You want this or not? Next. Joe Harris. Boom. Here's your number that we got for you. I think Joe Harris is $48 million. Boom. Here's 3 years, $48 million. You want this or not? You know what I'm saying? We're not begging you. You want to come. But then you slot them guys in as shooters. Now you got, I'm saying either Dot, Vassell, Joe Harris, Bogdanovich, Duncan Robinson, one of them. You put at that 2 spot next to Frank. Now you got RJ, Frank, and Mitchell. And then you got a 2 spot that can shoot the ball. They got to respect that. They got to respect Melo on the 4 spot at the stretch 4. And now you got Kevin coming in behind him. He's learning how to play the game. He's learning from the pro in terms of offensive footwork, offensive, how to handle yourself. And then they got Tibbs teaching all of them defense. Listen, man, I believe it's a young man's game. I believe the youth got to get their chance. But this is Melo. This is our boy. And he can still help us. You know what I'm saying? He can still help us at the stretch 4. Now, he's not going to be, you know, like I said, he's not old Melo. We're not going to give him 20 shots a game. That's not going to happen. But right now, I think Julius Randle averaged like 15 shots a game. I think if you could get Melo between 12 and 15, good one. I think you could do that in the offense. Melo is not the same guy. He understands. Did you see him in Portland in the playoffs? I was surprised. He had that ball. He wasn't the ball stopper. The ball was moving. And then at crunch time, if you needed a bucket, he still got that turnaround. And then you know how he is when you're running a break and he's trailing and he catches the ball in rhythm. He still does that. He's not the guy you want, you know, handling the rock with 20 seconds left in the quarter or 5 seconds, 10 seconds left in the quarter. And you want to get the last shot. You don't want to really have Melo in that position. That's old Melo. You want your RJs, you know, in that position. You want RJ in that position. Really. Or even like a Dot or a Vassell, them young cats. You want to give them that. But RJ should be that guy this year for us. But I'm saying, you know, if Melo wants to come back, first of all, we'd have to ask him. Because like I said, for him to come back to New York, he'd be giving up his championship dreams. He'd be giving up because he's not going to get a chip here. Not during this next 2 years. Okay. But man, he would help us talk about jumpstart the rebuild. Talk about not having to give up young assets or draft picks. Talking about not even breaking up our cap that much. Yeah, that's what you want, man. That's what you want right there. So I'm saying, I'm advocating for us to bring back Melo if he wants to come back as the stretch four to open up the floor for us. He's cheaper than Gallinari. He's cheaper than all of the guys we're talking about. He's cheaper than Bertans. He's cheaper than Jeremy Grant. Now, honestly, I'm going to be real with you now. I love Melo. I just expressed that to you. And I think I'm speaking for a lot of the Knicks nation. But I want to tell you something. If we could get a Jeremy Grant or a Christian Wood, that would kind of change things. Those are the two, to me, those are the two exceptions to what I'm saying. And the reason I'm saying that is because both of those guys are mid-20s and their games fit our timeline. And we can pay them. I would also pay them like a 4-year deal or even I don't know about 5, but a 4-year deal. That way, you know, they're with the timeline. They're growing with the rest of our youth and they're a little bit more, actually, they're a lot more accomplished having been in better, you know, in a better system in Grant's case and just developed better as Wood had. If we can get one of those. Now, there's no guarantee. See, some people just throw it out there. Let's just go get somebody. You can't just go get somebody. First of all, they got to want to come here. Okay. Especially a Jeremy Grant that's playing on a team that's in the Western Conference Finals. You got to pay him. He's not going to just leave that situation, but he will leave for the money now. But you got to come at him. You got to come at him correct. Christian Wood, Detroit's getting ready to throw the bag at him because they rebuilding. They're trying to move Blake Griffin out. They're trying to rebuild around him and Demboya. They're trying to rebuild around it as they should, you know. And they're trying to draft somebody now they could bring in. Maybe they bring in a CP3 to jumpstart their program. I don't know. But you got to come at them guys with something. So if we could get one of those two, that would be the exception. That would cause me to say, I'm sorry, Melo, you know, get your chip, bro. That's what I would say. But if we can't get them two, my third choice now would be Melo because he's going to be cheaper and he's going to help us rebuild. Tell me what you think. Shalom.